The morning started like any other quiet day in the small rural town of Ashford, Pennsylvania, but before the sun reached its highest point, sirens would be rushing toward a lonely farmhouse on the edge of town. Neighbors would later remember seeing an aging Army veteran standing on his roof with a hammer in one hand and a worried look on his face, staring at something inside the attic that had made him freeze in shock. Moments later, he climbed down the ladder faster than anyone had ever seen him move and called 911 with shaking hands. The reason for that call would soon leave the entire town stunned. And strangely enough, the one who discovered the terrifying truth hiding inside the house was not the veteran himself, but his loyal dog who refused to stop barking at the roof. Before we continue this emotional and surprising story, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel if you believe in silent heroes and second chances. Sometimes the smallest instincts can save lives. The veteran's name was Daniel Brooks, a former U.S. Army sergeant who had returned home years earlier after serving multiple deployments overseas. Daniel had always been known as a quiet, disciplined man with deep faith and a strong sense of responsibility. He grew up in a Christian family in rural Pennsylvania where hard work and humility were considered more important than wealth or recognition. After leaving the Army, Daniel moved into the modest farmhouse his late parents had owned. The house stood on several acres of land surrounded by tall oak trees and rolling farmland. It wasn't fancy, but it was peaceful. For Daniel, peace was something he valued deeply after years spent in dangerous conflict zones. The only companion who truly understood him during those quiet years was his German shepherd named Ranger. Ranger had once served as a military working dog during Daniel's final deployment. The two had formed a powerful bond in Afghanistan, where Ranger's sharp instincts had helped protect soldiers during patrols through dangerous territory. After their service ended, Daniel adopted the dog and brought him home. The pair became inseparable. Every morning they walked along the long gravel road near the farmhouse, and every evening Ranger rested quietly beside Daniel on the porch as the sun disappeared behind the fields. Life remained simple and steady, until the spring storm arrived. One night a powerful thunderstorm swept through Ashford with heavy rain and strong winds. Branches snapped from trees, and the old farmhouse roof took the worst of the damage. By morning, Daniel discovered several shingles had been torn away, leaving a small leak that allowed water to drip slowly into the attic. For most homeowners, the problem would have meant calling a contractor, but Daniel had spent his life solving problems with his own hands. Early the next morning, he climbed onto the roof with a toolbox and a bundle of replacement shingles. Ranger followed him outside, pacing the yard below as Daniel began repairing the damaged section. At first, everything seemed routine, but as Daniel worked near the roof ridge, Ranger suddenly began barking loudly from the ground. The dog's reaction was strange. Ranger was normally calm and disciplined, rarely barking without reason, but now he circled the yard repeatedly, staring up at the roof with intense focus. Daniel assumed the dog had spotted a squirrel or another animal in the trees. Still, Ranger refused to stop barking. The sound echoed across the quiet farmland. Curious and slightly concerned, Daniel decided to investigate the attic space beneath the damaged section of roof. He carefully removed a loose wooden panel and shined his flashlight inside. At first, he noticed nothing unusual. Dusty wooden beams stretched across the attic, and insulation covered most of the floor. Then he heard it, a faint scratching sound. Daniel froze. The sound was not coming from the roof or the trees outside. It was coming from inside the attic. Ranger's barking intensified below as if the dog understood something was very wrong. Daniel moved the flashlight beam deeper into the dark space. What he saw made his heart pound violently. Hidden among the insulation near the far corner of the attic was a large, tangled mass of wires and metal pipes connected to unfamiliar devices. Several blinking lights glowed faintly in the darkness. It looked nothing like normal household equipment. Daniel's military training immediately triggered a deep sense of alarm. The arrangement resembled something he had seen before during bomb detection operations overseas. Improvised explosive components. Daniel slowly backed away from the opening, keeping his movements calm and controlled. Years of experience had taught him the importance of staying composed in dangerous situations. Once safely off the roof, he grabbed his phone and called 911. Police and bomb squad units arrived within minutes, blocking the road and surrounding the farmhouse carefully. Daniel explained what he had seen while officers evacuated nearby homes as a precaution. The bomb technicians entered the attic using specialized equipment and protective gear. What they discovered shocked the entire community. Hidden inside Daniel's attic was a complex illegal device built from explosive materials and electronic timers. Investigators later determined it had been secretly planted by a criminal group months earlier, while Daniel had been away visiting relatives. The criminals had intended to use the remote farmhouse as a hidden storage site for dangerous materials before transporting them elsewhere. But the storm damage had accidentally exposed the device, and Rangers' instincts had revealed the danger before anything could happen. Authorities safely dismantled the explosive device and launched a large investigation that eventually led to several arrests connected to the criminal operation. News of the discovery spread quickly throughout Ashford. Neighbors who had once viewed Daniel as the quiet veteran living alone on the edge of town suddenly realized how close their community had come to disaster. Before we reach the ending of this powerful story, take a moment to comment the word loyal below if you believe that loyalty and instinct can save lives when we least expect it. In the end, the true hero of the story was not the man standing on the roof with a hammer. It was a faithful dog who refused to ignore a feeling that something was terribly wrong. Because sometimes a quiet instinct's a loyal companion can uncover dangers long before humans even realize they exist.